What started out as a close friendship quickly turned into a con between a reality show producer and who he thought was a friendly neighbor. It wasn't until thousands of dollars were spent that Jonathan Walton realized he'd been betrayed.
My name is Marianne, and I'm an empathic psychic.
The only gift she had was for scamming people out of their money. Lying, cheating.
Her real name is Marianne Smyth, and she's accused of conning her best friend, reality TV show producer Jonathan Walton.
I'm out $91,784. That was the cost of knowing Marianne Smyth. Someone's got to stop her.
They started as neighbors and quickly became best friends, spending holidays and birthdays together. They bonded over their families. Jonathan says he was disowned for being gay. Marianne claims she was fighting with her Royal Irish relatives over the family fortune worth millions.
She had a framed picture of the Irish Constitution in her living room. And she said, look, at the bottom, that's my great uncle who signed it.
At the time, Marianne was working at a travel agency.
I get a collect call from jail. She's in jail. She was arrested. She said her family set her up to make it look like she stole $200,000 from that travel agency.
Jonathan bailed her out. Months later, Jonathan says Marianne asked for money again, this time to pay rent, claiming her bank accounts had been frozen because of the legal drama.
One day, she says, listen, I have great news. The prosecution said he'll dismiss the case against me if I just pay $50,000 and then she'll get her inheritance. I didn't have $50,000 cash, so I let her charge my credit cards.
Marianne got the money, but came up with another excuse about why she couldn't get her hands on her inheritance to pay Jonathan back.
I log on to the jail's website to schedule a visit, and that's when, like, a heat rushes over me, because I see in black and white on the website, she was convicted of a felony, and that's not what she said. So I head down to the courthouse, I pull all the records from her case, and I sift through them with trembling hands, and I can't believe what I'm seeing. She was lying about everything.
And after a 2-year investigation, he got his day in court.
What you've heard is what happens when a best friend takes advantage of your love.
Turns out Marianne's not Irish royalty. She's from Bangor, Maine. She's currently behind bars serving a 5-year sentence after being convicted in Jonathan's case of grand theft. Fascinating story right there. We reached out to Marianne Smyth in jail to get her side of the story, and she declined to comment. Jonathan started a blog to tell his story, and he says he found more than 40 others who claim Marianne conned them too. Reality TV producer Jonathan Walton worked on shows like American Ninja Warrior and Shark Tank, but his showbiz savvy didn't stop him from being conned out of nearly $100,000 by a woman he considered to be his best friend. Jonathan is here now, and so is forensic psychologist Dr. Judy Ho. Thank you for joining us, guys. So, how do smart people get swindled? Because with all due respect, Jonathan, a lot of people are saying this is your fault. Why did you give this woman money?
Well, listen, I think Jonathan will attest to this. It's not about the intelligence. What is really convincing to the human spirit is emotions. And really good con artists are really good at getting to what is going to affect you as an individual. They get to know you really deeply, really quickly, and they get at your heartstrings.
Yeah, she edged her way into my life. You know, she impersonated whoever she needed to impersonate to become my best friend. Meanwhile, she's conning dozens of other people using dozens of other identities and looks. She was like Mystique from X-Men. Like, she took on whatever persona she needed to, made you fall in love with her, made you fall in like with her, and then robbed you blind after you loved her.
Are there certain victims that, how do these con artists pick their victims? I guess is the way you would refer to them.
Well, to be honest, they really do pick empathetic people. They pick people who seem like they would be open to wanting a new friend, wanting to take someone in.
Nice people.
Nice people. Yeah, absolutely. And I bet that was probably what happened at the first meeting. You showed a liking to her.
Yeah.
You said, hey, let's do something. Let's hang out. Let me learn about your life.
Well, she offered to help me. They offer to help. They get into your lives by offering to help. And it could be a new lover, a new friend, a new coworker. They're sweet as punch. They buy you things. They buy you dinner. She took us out and wined and dined us. You know, she made us, a gay couple, my husband and I, fall in love with her.
Yeah, there's a real technique to that. You know, they do that because once they do a favor for you, you're more likely to do a favor for them. So it's this whole foot in the door technique. Then they ask for bigger and bigger favors.
So if you're a nice guy and you're coming from a good place, how do you avoid being conned if you just want to put out that sort of good energy to get back?
I think you should be very suspicious if somebody is overly nice to you, overly interested in you, say I love you too quickly, want to be your best friend right away. I mean, those are big tip-offs.
Right.
And they really do know how to walk the walk. They literally study the character they're going to become and become an expert at portraying that character. She changed her look multiple times. She looked like a fancy person. You just don't think fancy people are going to con you.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan, what would you say to people who are maybe a little skeptical of reaching out, being nice, or they think they're being swindled themselves?
Well, I know the signs to look out for now. I can spot it a mile away. If someone comes into your life and they're too kind and they have a lot of drama, you know, this woman had a drama. She had an inheritance. She had a family disowning her. She had all this stuff going on, and it doesn't happen to everyday people. And once I went public with my story on my website, jonathanwalton.com, I got contacted by 42 other victims with equally crazy stories of how she conned them. You know, allegedly, because most of them don't go to police because they're ashamed and embarrassed. I mean, I'm ashamed and embarrassed too, but I wanted to stop her.
Well, and that's, I think, how they get away with it, is they embarrass you to the point that you'll never tell on them, because then it's almost like you having to tell on yourself.
Well, good for you, and I'm glad that everything worked out, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us right here. Oh, wow, fascinating stuff, huh, guys?
He's way too nice.
He's way too nice.
And generous. This one
Takes one to know one.